Hey, my name is Sarah and welcome back to another episode of Talking Fast. I feel like I've been talking abnormally fast.
Yeah, you've been speeding it up.
I feel like I'm on double speed
I
a
might
little
be
bit.
getting some notes from some people. I often get notes say, Sarah, slow down. And I say, no, she can't.
But no, I actually physically cannot. Like, that's the crazy part. And that's why the whole brand is Talking Fast. I got a comment the other day of someone going, you talk really fast. And someone else commented on my behalf and went,
Just
it's
at
almost
the account. At Talking Fast.
It's almost like that's what her podcast is called. But with that being said, Jacob, like every week, what are you eating or drinking this week?
Bagels this week, Sarah. I hope that
Do you
didn't
want to
peak.
know what? I also had bagels this week, which I was gonna say bagel funny. So let's.
Bagel? Are you bagel?
Yeah, I can't help it.
I got a couple of friends. Shout out Claire Wildman. She says bagel milk.
I say milk.
Oh, you're the same person.
I have to really intentionally
Palo?
milk.
Are you palo?
Pillow?
Like you slept on the palo?
No,
slept
pel.
sleep
It's
on the
more
palo?
like a PE. Like I'm
Pillow?
softer. Pillow is how I
Oh
say
wow! I think you are the same
it.
person.
No, I know, kind of.
No, but bagels. Okay, I had this debate the other day: Montreal style versus New York style.
New York.
Yeah, of course, New York. And this is why. Let me sell
Fluffier.
anyone fluffier, better the next day. So if you get 6, you get a sandwich, and then you get 6, and you bring them home. Guess what? Montreal style, not going to taste very good.
No, I
If you
know.
get a Montreal style bagel, hot out the kettle or whatever they're cooked in, unmatched, so good. But you have to eat it immediately.
Yeah,
if you're putting any kind of sandwich on it as well,
I agree.
Haley said this too. A Montreal style with a sandwich,
You
you're
can't.
getting like
It's
no
so
bagel.
it's so thin. You can't.
Yeah,
do
you're getting
it.
like, it's all toppings, no bagel. Anyway,
But there's also no good New York style bagels in Toronto.
I disagree.
Where?
I just went to Primrose Bagels, which is
Where is
that what it's called? It's called Primrose. Yeah, it's way up west. It's like St. Clair West.
Oh, Jesus.
Up there. But they've got a nice little. It's on Oakwood. And Oakwood is like a little nice strip. A couple of nice cafes, bar appes up there with great ice cream. Anyway, I wanted to just give a shout out to bagels because I'm on a bagel train right now.
I am right now too. I got some because Kettleman's is down the street from me. Those are
yeah.
Montreal style bagels, obviously. But I will say, same take. Like by the next day, they were already like ways too
Which is so
dry and
disappointing.
everything.
Have
And
you
I
ever
was like,
tried to eat a Montreal style bagel the next day and like you rip your gums apart and think you have to go to the
I
dentist?
have to toast it because it's the only thing that kind of saves it. So, anyways, I was shocked. But
What about you? What are you eating or drinking this week?
This week I'm drinking. Okay, so when I was in Bali and Thailand, the orange juice there was magical. I can't describe it any other way. It was amazing. And it got me back on an orange juice kick. But this is the issue. Tropicana doesn't hit the same way as the fresh Bali and Thailand orange juice. But I have found a solution.
Okay.
I think the entire time I was there, I thought I was just drinking plain orange juice. I think I was drinking mango orange juice, like a mix of the both.
Ooh, really?
And because at Farm Boy, I got this like mango orange. They call it mango orange puree, even though it's like a juice. Like it's not puree. It's weird. But anyways, they have this like mango orange mixed juice.
Is it like a single juice or can you put it in
It's
your
like a
fridge and drink it for like, you know what I mean? Like, is it a
no,
big
no,
one?
You can get either or.
Okay.
So I got that and it tastes the same as the Bali and Thailand.
I never
juice.
think about mango
So now
juice.
I think that I was mistakenly drinking mango orange juice like combined, but it's okay because it's like the closest thing I have. It's astronomically expensive. Like I think I paid $7 for like this tiny little bottle.
Yeah, fresh juice is so expensive.
But it was so good. And also like fresh juice in Canada just like doesn't exist the same way. Like even when I was in Paris, like you can go to the grocery store in Paris and press your own orange juice and it's like 70 cents.
When I was
so
in
cheap.
Italy even, I was like walking into a cafe here and there and they had like these huge containers of oranges that just like fell down.
Yep,
I was
and
like,
then the machine does it for you.
yeah,
It's
and I'm like,
amazing.
what are we doing here in North America?
No,
Why can't we
I
just
know.
import one of those machines and
Why
stick
does
it in
no
a
one
store?
do it here? I don't understand. I like
don't get
hypothetically
it.
in my brain, we are closer to where you source
And
oranges
you know
from.
someone like Galen Weston would want to charge $1 million for that.
Exactly. I would do it, Galen, for the fresh orange juice.
Do it for the money as well. Pad the bottom line.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarah, what are you reading or watching this week?
Okay, so I'm not reading anything because I'm in the worst reading slump I think I've ever been in my entire life.
Oh no.
Like not even reading my book club books. I'm in a bad reading slump.
That's tough to be in, like, the dark.
The culprit is TikTok.
Are you watching TikTok finally?
No. Okay, so I mean, like, this is like I don't know how publicly known it is that I'm usually a seller, not a user. I was
gonna say, I feel like we've talked this a little bit that you
little
never-
bit. Like it's not that I don't scroll, but it's just like I was always really good about like scrolling a little bit, kind of knowing what's going on with TikTok, but I didn't like obsessively watch. Tell me why I watched for like 3 hours last night.
Okay,
Like I never understood.
what does your For You page look like? What do you got?
Okay, I just learned all about dog training videos last night, and I'm not even looking to get a dog. I have no interest in getting a dog, but for some reason, this is the issue with the new algorithm. You watch one video on something, and that's your entire page. So
Yes.
between Eras Tour videos and learning how to lead a dog with a treat at their nose level to to make sure that to crate train a
Do
dog.
you want to come over and train Brooklyn?
Does Brooklyn want to be crate trained? Because I learned all about how to crate train a dog last night. So anyways, I've just been doom scrolling a lot. And so I really need to stop. I think my family's cruise that I'm going on at Christmas is gonna be really good for me because it's gonna be 8 days. Unplug. I have to. Like I literally can't. Yeah. So I think that's gonna be really good for me. Usually a vacation gets me back into reading, but anyways.
Okay, this is the same. Okay, what I'm watching this week is kind of the same thing. I was like, I need to do an intentional reset of my For You page on TikTok. So I looked up a lot of hopecore.
I do that sometimes.
Oh my God. Sometimes you just need to search hopecore and watch all the videos of so just wholesome. Like kids getting deaf kids getting ear implants for the first time.
I saw one today that was like baby puts on glasses and can see for the first time.
Or color blindness glasses for the first time, or like soldiers coming home.
Yeah, hopecore is so good.
Or just like neighborly, neighbors helping each other out. I watched a lot of that, and now my For You page is just full of those types of videos. I
love that for you.
But also just like motivational poetry and that kind of stuff.
Honestly, that's a good For You page.
I know. I was like, I got to make sure I maintain this. Now maybe I'll check out some dog checks. So maybe I could do dog hopecore.
You could do dog hopecore. There's for sure for sure dog hopecore.
Okay, hold on. Let me hold up my phone. Dog hopecore.
Yeah, it's
dog
gonna do hopecore. It for you. What are you listening to?
Okay, this is a big one. This is a little bit of left field. A$AP Rocky gets a lot of the A$AP love because he's great and he's with Rihanna.
I need to
ask
stylish. What might be like a really stupid question. Mm-hmm. Are they all like in the same group?
The A$AP mob.
Okay, they are. Okay, I assumed so. I just was like, I didn't know. I didn't know if it was like how like there's Young and Lil. There's all these like things that aren't coordinated.
They are. And then, now they don't release music necessarily anymore together.
It's like what YMCMB used to be.
You're very close. Yeah, and they kind of came up around the same time.
Got it. Okay, thank you for everyone that doesn't know rap music like me.
A$AP Ferg. You would know.
My nickname used to be Ferg at my old job. Is that so random?
Wait, why?
Because it's such a fucking stupid sports thing. This is how you can tell I worked in a sports office. You'll never get to it. The first Canadian in the Baseball Hall of Fame was a player named Ferguson Jenkins. His name was Fergie Jenkins. That was his nickname.
Did you ever play baseball?
And because my last name is Jenkins, no. The guys at my office were referring to me as Ferguson Jenkins, and then it got shortened to Ferg. So this one guy at work always called me Ferg. That was my nickname, and it made no sense.
That's tough to get out of. Once you get a nickname, like your first nickname that lands,
and that's what it was, Ferg. It made no sense. Anyways,
well, maybe you could listen to A$AP Ferg.
Yeah. And I'll relate to it.
Kind of relation in there.
So why A$AP Ferg?
Okay, I listened to a podcast with him on it, and I just think that he sometimes rappers get a bad rap for just being like, kind of hard asses. He's a really intentionally nice guy.
Was he the one talking about Taylor Swift? I saw a podcast clip about this, and it was an A$AP. It was an A$AP talking about Taylor Swift being like super kind and telling him how to run his business.
Maybe
it wasn't Rocky. Maybe it was Ferg. Okay. Anyways.
Continue. Yeah. He came out with a new album, and he's got some great tracks.
You really have you're like Zach Lowe over here. You really got your finger on the pulse.
Zane Lowe.
Zane Lowe. Oh, I just combined two names, didn't I? There's Zach
Bryan.
There's Zach Sang or whatever, and there's
Zane.
Oh
yeah. Zane Lowe.
Zane Lowe.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're like Zane Lowe.
Oh, wow, that's a huge
compliment. You kind of look like Zane Lowe.
Oh my God, I'll take that. I need to get some thicker glasses and just start talking with a British or British, Australian? I can't remember.
South African? I don't know.
Ooh, maybe. He's one of them. Sarah, somewhere you went this week?
I haven't told you what I'm listening to yet.
Oh, sorry. Sarah's Sarah's...
We're keeping that. That was so funny.
Okay.
I'm listening to the Wicked soundtrack because I'm getting ready for Wicked. I'm going to see it on Thursday. I am very excited about it. And I'm going to do everything in my power not to be someone that sings in the audience.
Okay. Favorite song apart from Defying Gravity? Do you have one?
My favorite song isn't Defying Gravity. It's For Good. But that For Good won't be in this movie. It'll be in the next one. But anyways.
Yeah. Oh, right. I keep forgetting that they've split it up into two parts.
And everyone says it's magical and wonderful and amazing. So
I am a huge Cynthia Erivo fan.
Same. She's unbelievable. So anyways,
now Sarah, somewhere that you went this week.
I went to my first Christmas bar of the season, and the reason I went was because I got invited to go to Miracle Bar. So Tara and I went last year, and I went with Naomi the year before. And it's one of those bars that you have to like get there really early, and you have to wait 2 hours to get in and whatever. But I got invited to the media preview, which was an ideal scenario because I didn't have to wait in line, and I didn't have to pay $20 a cocktail. It was amazing. And Santa was like walking around serving shots. It was crazy.
However, Miracle, if you are going to pay $20 a cocktail, Miracle's probably a good one because it does
Miracle
support.
Wasn't even $20 a cocktail. It was only like $17, and it supports charity.
Yes.
So if you're gonna go to one, that's the one to go to.
Because a lot of them don't.
No, Papi Chulos does not support charity.
No, so don't wait in line for one of the ones that is just going to charge you.
If you're gonna go to one, Miracle is also like the OG, so it's like the best one. Anyways, they're wonderful, and I got really good cookies, and Santa was serving shots, and it was really funny and something I never thought that I would see.
Did you slip him your list?
No, I didn't. But Santa, and do you want to know what? This guy was like a peak Santa. I was like, you were born to play Santa.
Real beard?
Real beard.
Oh, you know.
And this Santa slid.
I respect the real beard.
He responded after and was like, thanks for coming. He replied to me on Instagram. Like, his brand is being Santa. Like, this guy is a Santa. Like,
he's not the
like
fashion Santa, is
No, I was trying to talk about fashion Santa. No one who knew who I was talking about.
I'm not a big fan of fashion Santa, honestly.
No, me neither.
He took it
too far.
It makes
too far.
He almost makes me not want to go to
the Santa was great. He was serving shots. The drinks were great. And I wanted to steal all the mugs, but I didn't.
Okay, that's good.
Because I had a nice sign that said, please don't steal. I promise I didn't steal anything, but it looked great. Where's somewhere you went?
Okay, well, Miracle Bar is on Bloor Street, is it not?
Yeah, Bloor and Ossington.
Also on Bloor Street, bike lanes. This is just my political.
Oh my
This is my political section.
This being a debate though on. Did you see that guy's video talking about how all the 905ers are the reason why we're like going to lose bike lanes?
I mean, there are a lot of reasons, and a lot of them are stupid. This is just a PSA to, if you can become politically active over the next few months for any reason, please let it be for bike lanes. Bloor Street saves a lot of lives. A lot of people get hit by cars, especially in Toronto. I had my brother-in-law got hit by a car. Doesn't remember it happening.
My friend got hit. My friend got doored, and she literally was in like a multi-year-long lawsuit over it. And she is an artist, and she has arthritis in her hand and can't paint anymore.
And listen, traffic, I get it. It's bad. Don't drive your car.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, my favorite thing is when people complain about traffic as they are the traffic sitting in it. Like they're sitting in the traffic.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the Toronto bike lanes, and hopefully we can
as a new biker in the city who now uses the city bikes. I'm a new biker.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I'm now a biker. I would not bike anywhere where I don't have a bike lane because I wouldn't feel safe.
There are a lot of people who are like that, who would not bike anywhere in the city if they're not protected
I have a bike lane.
By a bike lane.
I can't even believe that's a conversation that we have to be having right now.
I know.
Classic.
Last one, Sarah, something you did this week.
I went to a yurt.
A yurt?
Not like a wellness yurt that's like good for your soul. I went to one that is by Bar Chef. So it's
full
like,
of alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for your soul in a different way.
Yeah.
So the yurt at the well is by Bar Chef, and they had it last year, and it's really cool. And they actually have a whole bigger like outdoor area now too, but the cocktails are amazing, and it's another holiday festive
Is there like
little
a little
thing.
Fire in this
yurt?
Okay,
Yeah.
I remember you sharing this.
They have, well, it's not in the yurt. The fires are outside.
Yeah, but it's
then
like a
there's
kind of a campy vibe,
and it's very cutesy, and it's got like eggnog, hot cocoa, all these like they had an Aperol spritz situation. Anyways, all the drinks were great because it's Bar Chef, who is like, if you don't know what Bar Chef is, it's like a great cocktail bar in the city, and they do all
like
the drinks.
Pristine.
They're like
elevated.
Are they Michelin? No, they might be a Michelin guide.
Maybe.
I think they're Michelin guide, not Michelin star. But anyways, they're wonderful, and it's at the well. My favorite place on the planet. So what about
maybe
you?
this will be the reason for me to go to the well.
I can't believe you still haven't been. What's something you did?
Last one for me, Sarah. I started playing soccer again. Just have to give a shout out to my rec league soccer team as I stopped my marathon training. Or sorry, I had the marathon is done, and now because I don't want to get injured again, or didn't want to get injured, I was like, well, I got nothing to train for now, so let me jump back.
That's not true. We might be training for the Chicago Marathon.
I know
together.
I might have to go tell the team. Actually, I'm going to be out in 2 weeks if
we both get out. Jacob, if we both get into Chicago, that's gonna be crazy. I'm manifesting it for us.
Let's cross the fingers. It'll be fun.
I think we'll do it.
Fraser Fitzgerald is a plant-based chef, cookbook author, content creator, and self-proclaimed condiment enthusiast. Fraser, welcome to Talking Fast. And the first question for you, what is your current favorite dip?
Ooh. See, I used to have this series where I would make dips on the internet.
Oh, I love that.
But I stopped that in October. But the brand Nuts for Cheese just sent me some dips. They have some brand new like fermented cashew dips.
Oh, dang.
And they have this like roasted red pepper one that I'm been taking a lot. So I'd say that one.
Okay, this is I have to be sold on dips for two reasons. One, I know you're a big pizza guy too. I'm not a dipper when it comes to pizza.
What?
I'll dip almost anything
crazy.
but pizza. I get a lot of hate for this.
Actually, no, I think you technically do it the proper. Isn't like the integrity of like the pizza, you don't like, if it's good, you should.
Well, I don't know if that's
it.
the reason I'm doing it, honestly.
Oh, you're just kidding.
But the other thing too is I rarely have the patience to make a dip myself, and I know that a lot of your content focuses on how to easily bake things down to easier recipes. So if there were a couple of easier dips for me to get into, what would those be?
So before I made content, well, I've kind of been making content my whole life. But before that, I had another business where I made dips and sold them in stores. So I used to make a creamy garlic dip that was,
so good.
I kind of felt like I don't know, it was so easy that it was like, how am I selling this when people are buying it?
Because people like me would buy it.
Yeah.
Who don't know how to
it
make
was basically
anything.
like mayo and garlic powder and salt and black pepper. And it tastes like pizza creamy garlic dip.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
So I'd say that, like, that's so easy and you could do it.
Does that ever surprise, like, does that continue to surprise you though? Like, even with like making like food content, obviously as a chef, like things that might come so easy to you that you think is so easy. Like to me, I would never even think that that's how easy it is to like make a dip. Like, is that part of like the basis of, I guess, posting online and seeing that feedback of like people being so shocked that of how easy something is? Like, do you ever like get over that and be like I don't know, I guess it'd be interesting watching people be so surprised at how easy something is to do that you've been doing forever?
That's a good question. I don't think so necessarily in content, but in like cooking.
Yeah.
Like I cook all the time, so it comes a lot easier for me than like someone else. So like, for example, my sister-in-law was like asking me how my mom made this side dish for like a dinner or something. And I just explained it to her and she was like, oh, that seems so much easier than I was thinking. And it's just like, if people take the second to like think about it, then I think cooking is actually pretty straightforward. But I don't know, it's something that's so interesting because you do it like 3-ish times a day for every day that you're alive. Like you do it so much, like what else do you do that's like, that you do more of, you know?
That's true.
But there's still so much confusion or like people aren't good at it or whatever, you know? It's like, how are we not? It doesn't have to be complicated. I guess that's my point.
Were you like that growing up? Is that what, did you always have an interest in cooking or what led you to it?
No, not really. Like I was like a craft dinner and chicken finger.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like until I was like 20.
So you were were you like a picky eater?
No,
Or
I just I'm like a white person, so I grew up
it's like white person tacos. Like that was like my favorite.
yeah,
And
like
it's just,
I mean, I loved growing up and like I love my parents, but like, and they're good at cooking, but like it's just like my culture is white people food and like
Yeah.
same as me.
you know, it's like it is what it is. Like, so like growing up, I just wasn't exposed to a lot of stuff, so I wasn't like, oh my god, like this box craft dinner is amazing. How do I make it?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this
Where
is good.
did that exposure start for you? And then like, what was the inspiration to actually follow that as a career path?
Yeah, so I think when I was in high school, my mom tried to get us to do like, so I grew up with 3 siblings. It was like a lot, at least for, I feel like we're on the same age, like our generation. So my mom tried to get us to like one person each week cook dinner with her. And she kind of stuck with that for like a year. So that was like kind of where I first got into cooking. And then when I was 20, I went vegetarian. And my mom was like, oh, you got to like make your own dinner because I'm not going to like make 2 dinners.
Right.
True.
So that's kind of where I started getting into cooking was like, oh, what am I going to make for dinner?
What was your repertoire back then?
So like a lot of like Caesar salads and like just like easy stuff that I've already had before, like veggie burgers and like a lot of prepackaged stuff, which is great. But that's kind of how I got into it. And I was like actually cooking every day because I had to. And then that kind of spiraled into, I was working in a sales job, like kind of hating it, but also didn't know what else to do. So then I actually got fired from that job in like the summer of 2014, which was a wild summer. Talking about Allura, I went to a Mumford & Sons music festival that summer.
Oh yeah.
I think in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got fired that August, and then I'd never been fired before from the sales job that I hated. And I was like kind of getting into cooking, and I was like, maybe I could. My mom actually said, maybe you could get another sales job and be in the same place in a year, or you could go back to school and like do something else.
True.
I'd never been to college before, and I was like, oh, is college complicated like to get into because it's August and I like it starts in September.
starts in like 3 weeks.
I've got a few days. How can I do this?
So I just applied to like George Brown. I applied to a couple of culinary schools, but George Brown was the one I wanted to go to, and surprisingly I got in because it's like a program you can get right out of high school, so you don't need to be like you don't have like good grades or anything.
That's I feel like I've walked past the culinary schools like right
and they
right
also
open to
Adelaide,
the street too as
and
well.
also
I feel
like,
like I've seen
they take like they have classes where like I have friends that have taken classes.
Yeah,
so
they
you
have
can take
Con
the
Ed
base-
courses, yeah.
Okay.
Which are super expensive.
Oh, really?
For
Considering.
like what it is. It's like they teach you how to make like bread. And it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Could be important.
But you get to wear the chef hat and the white
Yeah.
uniform. So.
That you have to buy. They don't tell you if to
Oh,
buy that.
really?
You have to buy that? Oh god.
So
goodness.
good experience overall, George Brown, for you?
Yeah, pretty good experience. I met a lot of great people there, and yeah, throughout that, while I was there, I was also working in kitchens because I thought that like going to school is one thing, but also like getting your hands in there and seeing if you actually like doing it is a whole other thing.
What was like the entry level position for you in a kitchen? I don't know anything about it.
My first kitchen job ever was at a place called Sadie's Diner, which is in like the west end of Toronto. And have you ever been there?
No.
Okay, it was sick. It was like a vegetarian diner, greasy spoon, and I was like the juice bar guy.
Okay.
I was like making fresh orange juice and like beet juice every day.
Amazing. We were just talking about fresh orange
We were
juice.
just talking about there's not enough fresh orange juice in this city, and how when you go to Europe, you can go to like any single because you can go into any convenience store to do it. I do think it takes a certain type of person to work in a kitchen. I worked like service, and so obviously I used to see like in kitchens and everything. Do you think like it takes like a certain demeanor or anything to be successful in working in a kitchen, especially in a city like Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was like kind of young and like I mean most people were, but I don't know, I just didn't really know any better, so it was just like it's just a job to me.
Yeah.
And I only stayed in Toronto for 2 years like while I was in school, and then I actually moved out east to Halifax, and that was like a totally different experience, like a much more laid back and chill vibe.
I have a cottage in Nova Scotia, so
Oh,
Halifax
sick.
is like my favorite place to eat in this country.
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
best.
legit.
It's the best.
So yeah, I was there for 2 years, and then we moved back, and that's when I moved to Hamilton. So Toronto food scene, I feel like I'm a little bit of a fraud. Like I only worked in Toronto for like a couple years, but yeah, I don't even really remember your question, but I think that
I guess it doesn't have to just be Toronto. I just wonder if as someone that's like worked in kitchens and all, like I guess now like all over the country, is there a certain demeanor that you find people have, or like I think people watch a show like The Bear and then just assume that's what all, like I'm sure you could ask this a bunch, like they assume that all kitchens are like that. Have you found that to be the experience, or is like an East Coast kitchen very different than a Hamilton kitchen versus a George Brown college, like
Right.
whatever?
Yeah, I think that it depends on like the level that you're cooking at, but
That's true.
I think at the level that I was cooking at, for the most part, everyone's like pretty nice and respectable. And like, I definitely think that like older mentality is kind of on the way out, which is nice to see.
When was there a switch or a moment that you had in your mind? I know you said, you know, working in the kitchen at Sadie's was kind of a job to start out with. Was there a switch when you're like, okay, maybe my mom was right, I can, if I'm pursuing this as a career, no longer focused on sales, this is kind of where my focus lies now? Was there a moment that kind of in your mind switched?
Yeah, so like even going back to like university, high school, I was never like that person to like show up early or like really try. I was just like, I wanted to be a rock star my whole life.
Yeah.
Until I was like 24. So I didn't really care about school, and like as someone that like school is rather difficult for me, like sitting down and actually reading something or learning is really hard. So when I went to culinary school, I was actually like excelling for the first time in my life, which is really weird for me to experience. And then also being like the one vegan, and like I was in a program there was like 80% women. It was more like nutrition based program.
Okay, yeah.
So I really stuck out. So then on top of that, I knew that like going back to school, this was like a conscious choice that I was making to like change my career. So I wanted to be like the kid that would show up early and the kid that would stay late and like ask all the questions and like really get my money's worth. So I think going back to George Brown was when I like really decided like, okay, this is like what I'm going to do now. And I think that's what like has led me to where I am today with like just having that positive attitude of like, I'm going to give this my all and see where it goes. 'Cause why not, you know?
Aside from, I guess, your mom growing up cooking one meal a week, did you have, I guess, also in George Brown days and then maybe beyond, did you have any mentors in the space that kind of helped you out, get your foot in the door?
Yeah. At George Brown specifically, there was a lot of the chefs there were really nice to me, but one in particularly, Amy Symington, she lives around here actually. She was vegan, and she's like basically the reason that I went vegan. I saw her like teaching at George Brown. In my mind, I was like, whoa, this is like so legit. As a vegan, like excelling in this industry in Toronto, I was like, that's crazy. Like I could never be vegan. And then, cause I was only vegetarian at the time. And then I saw her like being such a badass, and I was like, wow, this is epic. Like maybe I can do this. And it helps that she was also like extremely nice. And like, you know, ever since after graduating too, we've like kept in touch. And, so yeah, Amy is such an inspiration.
Has that changed over the...
I was gonna ask the same thing, like the vegan food scene
specifically? I feel like, you know, as someone who has never worked in a kitchen, but, you know, dines out quite often and enjoys trying new foods, I feel like menus have definitely changed where there are a ton more plant-based options, even at not fully plant-based restaurants. Is that something that you've noticed as well, or do you find that there's more of a draw from people looking to eat plant-based food as well?
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like I think like in 2019, the vegan movement was like really on the rise, and like that's when I think Beyond Meat went public, and all these huge companies were coming to Canada, and it was really exciting. And then I think in the last 4 years, it's kind of like hit this plateau, and like, which is great. But I think people call it like the Earl effect, where like Earl's restaurant.
Oh,
like
they
have like an entire vegan menu. And I think that's what a lot of restaurants are kind of leaning towards now. And they'll put fully vegan businesses out of business. Right. Okay. Because those bigger chains will come in and be like, oh, we have this vegan food now. So the small guys will kind of like fall by the wayside.
Interesting.
But it is funny when you go to a place, or even like you see a new place open up and like they don't even have a single plant-based option. I'm like, what is this like?
Do you live on the same planet?
Yeah, exactly.
I always find that with like gluten too, because I feel like being like gluten-free is such like a massive, like whether it be like for personal reasons or for like health reasons, I find that's always shocking to me, because I grew up in a household of everyone in my family is like celiac except for me. Whoa. And so like so I grew up like eating gluten-free always, and even seeing that as like such a change from like there used to be a couple pastas at the grocery store where now they have like full-blown grocery stores dedicated to it. But it's always crazy to me when I go to a restaurant and there's not a gluten-free option. I'm like, this is like, are we not in 2024 right now?
It's really weird to see, but I think the vegan plant-based movement has really kind of grown, and I think it's 2019 is probably like the peak of the last 5 years or so, but yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
What I also like, I was reading, I think it was one of your bios that you put out maybe at the beginning of this year, but you called yourself, what was it? It was like the least judgmental vegan. I think maybe you described it as, which I like, because sometimes I feel like there are two sides to the coin, right? Like one, maybe sometimes it comes off as someone could be coming at it from a place of like moral superiority, or on the other side, which I think you kind of approach it as, is essentially just like making plant-based food extremely tasty. Which, what's the difference then? Why not just prioritize that? Is that something you've done intentionally, or where do you come at it from?
Yeah, for sure. I've always decided that like the veganism thing is like just for me. Like it's not for anyone else. Like I don't care if you're vegan or you eat meat 7 days a week. It like doesn't matter to me. Like it's always been my choice, and that's how I've been able to kind of have a success with it, because I'm not coming at it as like a judgy or whatever. And I think that before I was vegan, those extreme people I think there's a place for those people, but I think it also, as a non-vegan at the time, I was like, that's a little intense. It's like anything, like you're not gonna, I don't know. It's just like anything. It's like, I'm not going to want to become a runner by this intense marathon runner coming at me every day, being like, yo, let's go to a 15K.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, bro, let's
like,
do a 1K.
Yeah.
It's like when someone's like, it's like when someone's like yelling at you, telling you to do, like you have to do something. It's like almost deters you away from doing it.
And almost like, killing them with kindness too. Because if you're also then creating recipes that just like look so delicious and, back it up, they are, it's like, how can you not win that person over, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think before I was creating content, I was actually teaching cooking classes in person. This was before COVID, and I'm getting a lot of success. I was like partnering with breweries and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've always tried to write those recipes to be as accessible as possible, so that like I could reach as many people as possible, so they could get them to come to the event.
Right.
So I think that's another big part, is like I want these recipes to be like really tasty, but also accessible, so you can get them at like a No Frills in like Thunder Bay.
Yeah,
that's so true. So that, because it's like, I mean, like for the two of us, like we live in a like major city where we can go to like the specialty grocery stores or this or that, but you're right, like someone like might be wanting to explore plant-based options but feel like that it's inaccessible when it's these like, you must get this very specific. I always found that with like, I tried to recreate Thai food after I went to Thailand and learn how to make it, but I have to go to the Asian grocery store and buy like this long list of very specific like things to make it taste anything like how I had it there. So I think the accessibility is so important, but I also think through content you're then making it accessible for people to like more so learn how to cook. So you were saying earlier that you have always made content, like you've always like done that. So when was the shift that it kind of became like a career for you?
So what I mean by that was like, in Halifax, I had my first like real job. I was like managing people. So I felt like super stressed out. And a way to like de-stress was to like on my off days like make food and that I was excited about and like take pictures of it. This was like before video content became a thing.
That's still making content though. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I decided to like kind of get into that, like creating recipes and like writing them down and stuff like that.
Were you sharing them at that point?
Kind of. You could still see them on my Instagram for sure.
Yeah, okay.
If we would do a deep scroll.
Yeah. But yeah, in 2022, in 2021, I had a business, kind of like a mini restaurant, kind of like, if you ever go to the St. Lawrence Market, we have a market in Hamilton, kind of similar to that, but just not as great. So I had a business in there, and it was kind of like a restaurant, like you could come and like order food and stuff. But I had that for 2 years, and I was like so burnt out and tired, and I was like, okay, after 2022, I'm shutting this down and like just gonna do something else. And within that 2-year window, I had like video content had become a thing on Instagram, and TikTok had popped off. And I'd put out 2 cookbooks at that point.
Oh, wow.
They're both like self-published ebooks, and they were strictly to be like a selling feature for my cooking classes. Like you come to my class and be like, oh, you had a great class, like buy this like $20 ebook. Like,
Yeah.
so there was no real thought to that more than just like, this is an upsell after the cooking class. But after the market thing, I was like, okay, I'm shutting this down. I'm going to take a break and see what I want to do next. I went to Mexico with my family, came back. And within that time, I'd had like a couple of brands reach out to me and being like, oh, we'll pay you like a couple bucks to like go promote this new A&W burger, or like go and whatever. And I was like, oh, whoa, like you can get paid for that?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, my younger brother was blowing up. Like he's a big deal on YouTube, especially. They actually have a podcast as well. And I was learning a lot from him and his partner, and like how you can make money on the internet. And there's just such an untapped, like not untapped, but like, I guess kind of gatekeepy community.
I
like
wouldn't
no
say
one talks
untapped. It's
about
like
that.
unknown. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
unknown.
like you don't really like, it's like you kind of know out here that people do it, but no one tells you how to do it and how it's possible.
Everyone's like a boomer in the sense that like you can make money at that.
Yeah,
just
no,
don't
100%.
get it.
And then nobody understands like how much money, like how it actually works either. So
because
I
no
guess-
one talks about it.
Exactly. So I guess like having your family be people that you can literally go to for that would have been really helpful.
Yeah. So basically, with like their help and like their inspiration in 2023, at the start of 2023, I like basically didn't have a job, so I like started creating content full time. I even hired a videographer. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like, if I'm gonna do this, like kind of back to cooking school thing, I'm gonna do this like 100%.
Really invest in
Love
it
that.
yourself. Yeah.
Turns out like 6 months in, the videographer I wasn't really getting the results I was expecting. Like they were still great videos, but I just wasn't getting the
ROI.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm just gonna try this on my own, and if anything, I'm gonna save the money and I'll still get the same results.
Yeah, exactly.
And then honestly, like this January was when like things really popped off, and I like kind of exploded.
What was the switch between working, like what was the difference in content, I guess, with working with the videographer versus just doing it yourself? Like was there a super material difference in what the videos looked like, or?
I would say that his videos, they looked like more polished because they used like a nice camera. But I think the main difference, it's not necessarily going to bring you results, views, but I think the main difference was that I started editing them myself. And then the huge flip was like writing a script down and like practicing it a couple times.
Producing the video,
Whereas before, my whole life I've had like ADD issues. Like go back to high school, I'll like be thinking about writing a test. And as soon as like the first couple people stand up and hand in their tests, I get this like thing go off in my head being like, oh shit, like I gotta finish. It's like I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. I want to get done. Which is so fucked. Like that's not you're not gonna pass a test that way.
I feel like so many people are like that though. That's such a relatable feeling.
So with social media it's like the same thing. It was the same thing where I was like, okay, this video is done, it's edited, I gotta get it up there. Not thinking about like once it's up there, it's up there. You know, so I took a step back and I was like, okay, let's take some time here and like write a script and practice it a couple times. And so that was like the biggest shift for me, was writing a script and then also repeating what I'm saying. Like, because if you watch one video, especially on TikTok, I find it so hard to find a video again. So I'm constantly repeating myself. Like, hey, I'm Fraser. I'm a professional chef. I've been cooking for 10 years. Like constantly saying the same things. And I find that's what really took it off.
And then what style of content right now is resonating with your audience, do you find? What's hitting the most?
I was talking to this with a friend, Fran Allen. She's great. We had the same birthday. We shot a video last week.
Love that.
And I was saying, she was asking me that same question, and I was like, yo, anytime I call like something chicken or meat or something, and people are like, you can't call that chicken. That's when something really pops off.
No, you have to. Something that causes like a little controversy in the comments is what will always do it. And then it's like they don't realize that you're also just half doing it to piss them off.
And it's like, man, I see your comment, and like that comment's helping the video perform better.
Yeah, totally.
They just don't. The keyboard warriors, though, they don't understand
I'm
that.
here for it.
I was looking at your Instagram, so I've always been curious about food videos because like, as someone that doesn't really know how to cook, but I like learn from like videos and like recipes and everything. Has there ever been something you've posted that didn't taste good but looked really good and you posted it anyways? I've always been curious when the stuff looks so good. No, but you're
not really. What actually happens
impressive.
is what the true answer is like, I'm not happy with the video. So then I don't post it. It's more about actually like this past Friday, I don't know if you post videos directly from Instagram, but this past Friday it was like super glitching out and I was getting so frustrated. So I'm doing a soup series right now, and like they generally perform really well, especially Friday after work. Like Friday after 5 o'clock is a great time to post.
They're like, it's my scroll time.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, this is going to perform really well going into it. And then this past year I've been really into like mindset and like meditating and yoga and like wellness. But my energy was like super negative. I was like so rattled that like this wasn't
working.
Like it looks fun when I'm previewing it, but then I post it and it just looks like shit.
I hate when
and I was just getting so rattled that and then I posted it with that energy, and I think it doesn't make any sense to like the normal person, but like
no, I totally understand, because also like the thing is too, like it's so much of it, I feel like when you're creating content, it's like it's in our own head being like, I have to post it this time, or I did this, or like whatever, when like realistically most people won't notice if like you hold back that video and wait a few days to do it and share it when like it's in a better space anyways. But I've always been curious about the food videos because they always look so good, but I'm always like, I mean, I'm sure there are food creators that like post recipes of stuff that doesn't actually like taste good, but I've always been curious because I'm like, I don't know, I'm never always convinced, because I feel like sometimes stuff is made for social media. You find that, like, is there stuff that like you now make because it like looks better in a video? Does that ever happen?
Not really. I heard this quote like last year. That was, I don't remember who it's by, but so it's relevant, but like it was basically talking about how trends, like sticking with trends, won't really get you long-term success and engagement with your community.
For sure.
So like if you do, I always think of like that tomato and feta feta recipe.
Right.
That was like kind of the first viral food recipe that I can remember.
Yeah. That, and then the spicy vodka rigatoni.
Yeah.
That one too.
And like those are great videos, but like if you just post that, it's like no one cares. Like they might get like 100, 200,000 views, but like, so I've always thought of that, whoever said that quote, and been like, true, that is so true. I'm going to stick to what I enjoy, because at least I'm enjoying creating the content.
Exactly.
And I feel like that vibe then comes through to your audience too, is that if you're enjoying it, they're going to pick up on the positivity of that and want to stick around, build an actual community, as opposed to what like you're mentioning.
Well, that's how you have longevity too. Like,
like
anybody
like,
can like,
why chase it?
Anybody can like put a trending sound on something and create like a viral video, but it's like no one knows who they are the next day. Like how people are going to know who you and your brand and what you make is like you said, based off like it's trust with the audience, right?
Yeah. You also announced recently, I want to congratulate you too, you're going to be a dad.
Congratulations.
Which is exciting.
Thank you.
My
baby food series.
We just went on our
soon.
baby moon 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's exciting.
Amazing.
Wait, where'd you go?
Yeah.
Portugal and Spain.
Oh, okay.
Damn,
I was going to ask you too.
That's a
I saw
cool
you.
baby. First of all, baby moon. Like for those that are listening, baby moon is what is it? It's a pre. It's like your last like vacation before your.
It's very millennial, but
yeah,
I
love it.
My brother and sister-in-law went on one, but I gave my brother COVID right before, so they had to cancel the first half of it. And now they've had their second kid, so now I feel like I owe them a half trip at some point. But I was gonna ask you too, have you started any meal prep? Are you gonna do meal prep? What is the
I've started to brainstorm some meal prep video ideas, and we have we inherited a mini deep freezer.
Oh, so smart.
In our basement. But I'm not a big meal prep guy. Like I'm not gonna lie and say like I love freezer meals. Like I hate freezer meals. Like I hate making chili because we don't have a microwave. I think that's part of it, but we just don't have the counter space.
Yeah.
Because you have your new espresso machine.
But I just don't like it gets like freezer burnt, and then it's like, I really want to eat that piece of lasagna that's been in there for 6 months.
I like that because I don't have kids, but I also don't like meal prepping for the same reason.
Me neither.
There are a few things that sitting in my freezer, and they've been there for months and months and months, just because I am the same. I hate pulling something out. You have to thaw it, and then you're like, okay, how are you going to reheat this? What's it going to taste like? So on the flip side of that, then, is it just then leaning into recipes that are maybe a little bit more easy to prepare? Or?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a dad yet, so check in 3 months.
Yeah, you'll be going into that
I
deep
love
freeze
frozen
every day.
He'll be getting an advertisement with like, what are those like frozen meals? Like something. I don't know what they're called. Crave. They have those like frozen meals. You'll be doing a brand deal. I'll be like, this kid's college is getting paid for somehow.
Or just go on the other end where you're just living off of coffee and the espresso machine.
That's the other way to do it. Before we let you go, what is like one piece of advice you would give to someone like me who I like the idea of cooking, but I just don't know if I necessarily like have the patience to like learn it from scratch. I feel like I learned it too late in life. Like, do you have any advice for someone that's like I'm 28 years old and I know I should be cooking more, but I just I'm like, it's so easy to fall into, I don't know, patterns if not, but like to get me to, I don't know, enjoy it more. Do you have any advice for that?
I would definitely recommend like HelloFresh or Good Food or like whatever. I actually wanted to work for like all of those companies when I moved back from Halifax, and none of them hired me.
Oh my god!
So a little bitter about that.
Look at you
but
now.
If you're listening,
if they come and offer you a brand deal, I'll be like,
yeah.
Actually, no, take their money. Take their money.
But I think they are a great entry point of like, because I think grocery shopping can be very overwhelming. But I also, on the flip side, like, also I know people that literally don't cook. Like they just Uber Eat, or they'll do like Chef's Plate, or they'll do like We Cook or whatever every single day. And like, you got to pick your battles, and you shouldn't feel like guilt around like, or this like weird anxiety around like, oh, I'm never going to learn to cook. Like,
That's
true. You're good at other things. So just take that as a win. But I think that the HelloFresh of the worlds are a great entry point, because then you don't have to grocery shop.
Yeah.
And you can just get, okay, I need the half an onion and like the whatever, and then you're good.
Helps me learn how to do things. I want to cook. It's just the there's the time to make it, and there's also the time to learn how to make it. And then when you put the two together, it's very overwhelming. I took one cooking class one time. I know how to make butter chicken from that. Is the only thing that I know how to make.
Nice.
And it takes like 3 hours though. It takes forever. So I never do it. What would be a good entry point meal to learn how to make then? If I'm like something that I can add to my repertoire easily. And it can be plant-based.
Like a soup? Like soups are so easy.
Actually, I'm very intrigued that you said you have a soup series. I'm going to go save a bunch of them. I feel like it's like an easy thing.
I was talking up squash at the beginning of this episode in the intro.
I would love to learn how to make my own squash soup.
Squash is good. You can buy, you know what? I'm not against buying like pre-cut up stuff. So you can buy pre-cut up butternut squash. Because peeling squash is like kind of annoying.
That is tough, and it's sometimes
I find it leaves like a residue on your hands.
Yeah.
Interesting. You heard it here first.
These are good tips.
The chef said that I'm allowed to buy pre-cut up squash
as an entry point, and then and then you get your knife sharpened, and then you can buy.
Then you're gonna start getting videos from me, like how's my technique? I have the chef hat that I went to George Brown and bought to make sure I had it. Where can our audience find you if they want to learn how to make soup? Like I'm gonna learn how to make it.
Everything is Fraser Cooks. At Fraser Cooks, frasercooks.ca, I think, or .com.
One of them. You can try both.
But yeah, just Fraser Cooks everywhere.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today. This has been so lovely. Jacob, any final thoughts? This was your episode.
No,
you're the host.
Just appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I'm gonna be making soups as well.
Thanks for having me.
We have a soup off. We'll bring you back
next episode. Yeah, we'll do taste tests.
do taste tests. Thanks so much. I've been Sarah. That's been Jacob. That's been Fraser. And make sure you listen to every single episode of Talk Fast every single Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday, and you don't want to miss one. So like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things so that we can have a nice 5-star rating. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.